we live?
Monday. Yes, we're
We
live.
are live. Hey, everybody. Happy Monday.
Have Casey introduce us this time.
Hey, happy Monday. I'm Casey Stiers, the downtown guru, with my co-host Hallie out of San Angelo, Texas. She is a rock star icon agent there, and here's Rocky.
We got to introduce Rocky too, of course.
And rock star agent in San Angelo and now Dallas. So
yes.
And she's now the Empower team, correct?
Yes, Empower Real Estate Group. Yep.
Yes.
Woohoo.
So, and then we have Tyler, who is just a godsend when it comes to loan officers. Not sure if I should say that or not, but I did. He has saved two of my clients so far. Flawless closings. When problems arrive, you don't even know they're problems. Like, it's amazing. And a credit guru. I mean, he's all the above. He thinks outside the box. That's one of the things I love about him.
Yes.
He gets creative. And when you are self-employed, as most of us agents are, that is beyond important. When it comes to working with loan officers, you need to make sure you're working with someone that knows how to work with someone self-employed. If not, I mean, the deal can go south in 2 seconds. So.
Yeah. And I like what you said. What I look for in my lender partners is someone who's creative and can, wiggle things around to make things work, have ideas around, I don't know, just he'd probably have more of the verbiage on this, but I feel like a good lender can kind of finagle things around to make things work with financing or underwriting, whatever it may be. So it's always good to hear.
Yeah.
Randy?
Sorry.
I was going to say, Randy asked where your services are. We're going to get there, Randy. He's going to talk all about all that. So
awesome.
Cool.
Well,
so,
cool.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good.
Take your show.
Yes.
So a little bit about me, Tyler Rood. I work with NFM Lending, National Fidelity Mortgage. I think you ladies both hit it on the head. When it comes to financing, I look at it everything from my goal is I don't want to tell you what you can't do. I want to tell you what you can do, and then lay out the rules. So if we're gonna, let's say you're self-employed and you don't show income, but you have buckets of money, I have a way to get it done on Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac on a true conventional based mortgage, but you just have to play by the rules. And so it's just good to have someone that's in the guidelines, if you will, or in the rules. And as I always like to say, I know a guy. It's one of my biggest things.
I always say, I know a guy who's got a guy.
It's all about solving problems and making sure that we're able to, get you guys geared where it goes. As for where I actively practice, when it comes to my network of I know a guy, that's going to go across all 50 states. As for ones where I personally would handle your loans, it would be Texas here in the near future, along with North Carolina, West Virginia. And then my current license is active in Virginia. So you go all through Virginia. You get the full Tyler Rood experience. And then outside of that, you're going with people that I know and trust, people that I send my family to, any of that kind of stuff. So just all about solving problems and making sure that you're getting all of the best possible outcome, for your loan and that kind of stuff. So
to answer your question, he can help you in all 50 states.
Yes.
And just personally working with him, even if you're working with one of his people, he's very active in the whole transaction. If there's a problem, he can jump in. So he's not the guy that just pushes you off.
Hey,
Right.
Tyler, quick question. Do you have like a website or like social media that you want us to put as a banner on here?
Yeah, for sure. So the website to my page is going to be www.nfmlending.com/TROOD. That's
T-Rood.
That's the direct to my portal per se. So if you applications, uploading documents, if you want my contact information, all that stuff will be there. And you can fire away any questions that you have, whether it's about this or anything else, because I'm sure we're going to talk about a whole bunch of fun stuff today too. So
awesome. Cool. Well, so the theme of our show is all hacks, tips, and tricks for real estate agents. So I guess just starting off, do you have any like when you, especially newer agents, when you're working with some of those type of agents, might be just getting started in the business. Do you have any what is your guidance for newer agents in the getting into the area and trying to learn what you do?
Right. So like as an agent, I think the most important thing first and foremost is to formulate your own relationships. It's important when you start out to lay into your initial, let's say you're on a team and your team has the painter. It's important that like when you're first starting out, obviously you're not going to have the painter. So lean on that team's painter. But as you continue to develop your business, start to formulate those connections with painters, lenders, landscapers, roofers, you name it, because at that point in time, it's a lot better for you to have your own relationships as you start to grow, because that's whenever your business is going to start to see a huge impact. Like as I always like to say on my stuff, if I have someone that's buying a car and I already helped them close a loan, I want them to call me and say, "Hey, Tyler, I have means to pay cash for my car, but should I pay cash for it or should I finance it?" I don't make any money off of that. But what I do get is I get a touch with my past client. I'm able to solve their problem and I'm able to answer anything that they have that pertains to it. And then even if it's something, say it's something not as simple as buying a car, maybe they're calling me and they're like, "Hey, I need a divorce attorney. I'm getting divorced." I probably get those calls more than a divorce attorney gets first, right? And so it's to be able to have that person so that way you can plug it. The other thing that I would say starting out would be make sure you tap into like your actual sphere. And I don't mean like, don't send out like some mass group text like, "Hey guys, I'm a realtor now. Life's great." Right. As I always like to say, take it a step further and like go creep on the people that are actually acquaintances and go look at their Facebook and be like, "Oh my gosh, you went to Top Golf." So then when you call them, don't text them, call them and be like, "Hey, look, just wanted to see what's up. Hallie, how are things going? What'd you do this weekend? Oh, you went to Top Golf? No way. I love Top Golf. My husband loves Top Golf too." And then you can kind of force that face to face. And then that's when you bring up being a realtor. That's where you'll really get most of your conversion, in my opinion, instead of just sending out some mass text, because 95% of business in America is conducted because people like you. So those would probably be the two biggest is actually tap your sphere and make these meaningful relationships, even with your acquaintances, and then build your own network, your own referral network within itself. Would probably be like my two biggest tips getting started.
I love those. Those are good ones.
Yes, I do too. And those are things I wish people would have taught me when I first got into the real estate world.
Yeah.
I really do. Because I figured it out on my own, but I would have been many steps ahead.
Oh, yeah. And I got lucky. Well, not lucky, but my husband's a builder and flips homes, does custom homes. So he already basically weeds through all the contractors anyway. So I got lucky in that sense. But
yeah, no, that's huge.
Yeah, not everyone does. And sometimes it's not even stuff, related to contractors or building, like you said, divorce attorneys or what else? People ask me questions all the time. I had someone ask me today about, so I have a client who pretty much is stuck at home because his mom is full-time on hospice right now and has been sick for a long time. And he was like, "Do you know anybody that can come to my house and cut my hair?" And I was like, "Well, I know a few that I can definitely ask." And, they came to my house during COVID. So I think so.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really what it ties down to, is because it's this huge impactful touch. Another really big one too for realtors, especially those getting started out. I know we're all familiar with the infamous closing gift. I've had past buyers fire their past agents because they didn't get a closing gift.
Me too. I got 2 new clients for that.
One of the best and cheapest and greatest connections you can make is having the house cleaned by a cleaner. And you can literally have it deducted right at closing. They go and clean it right after they close. You tell them, "Hey, you can go in 5 hours after." And then you jokingly tell your buyers, "Hey, this is the cleanest your house is ever going to be." And then they're like, "What do you mean?" And then it sits in and it's like, you'll never get that dirt behind the table or under the couch again, And so it just sets it up to where and it's huge, and it's this big impact. And then it also, again, it's just serving heart, as I like to say. Now you give the cleaner an opportunity to turn around and plug their business and generate the business, not to mention when you need things like on your listing and getting it done after you build this relationship. Now people are like, hey, yeah, I'll get this done, right now, pretty much, or I can get it done in the next 2-3 days. So I love that. It's just a super easy move.
That's awesome. I like that one, actually. So
I know. Don't forget to do a closing gift, y'all, and make it personalized too, so that they remember. I mean, I think the cleaning one is good too, but I've always been told to give people something that will like make anytime they see it, remind them of you too.
Right. Of course.
one of my top clients, I got them because it was a simple thing as their agent promised them a gift card to a restaurant here, and they never got that gift card. So as soon as they used me to close, guess what I did? I went and got them a gift card from that on top of my other stuff. So,
Got him.
So went that way.
People have their like little things that they're stuck on, but that, I mean, I get it, when we put in like the effort that we do for customer service.
Exactly.
Right. Well, and I think too, like on the topic of closing gifts, I think it's, I know for my buyers, like whenever I'm bringing them in to get them rocking and rolling for their pre-approval, I use a notebook that's called a Remarkable. And basically it's digital paper, if that makes sense. And so I have like my initial buyer consult. I have like page 1, like all the loan stuff, right? And then page 2 is a little bit more loan stuff. And then page 3 is the all about you. So as I'm going through and building the rapport with them, and they're like, oh, I'm a doctor. And it's like, oh, that's sick. Where'd you go to school? Oh, I went to undergrad here and I did this. And now I'm like jotting down where they went to school, where this is. Oh, I see you have 2 kids. They're 4 and 10. What are their names? Right. And now it's like, I have that. And then you can turn around and just build out this whole thing. And it makes it so easy because I could find out, hey, he went to Texas A&M, or whatever it is. And then you turn around and then they love Texas A&M. Now it makes it so much easier because I can go buy a $30 shirt from off the internet for Texas A&M or whatever. And now I went from being like, hey, this is a good experience to being above and beyond.
Exclusive.
Yeah. Because that's just another way they like you said, they get to know, like, and trust you.
Right.
What business is all about.
Absolutely.
Yep. I mean, that's how I came about with him. I was referred, Andy, who was on our show, Grissinger, referred me to Ashley Irby for our partner, Tate, and his wife, Tanya. And even if they're listening to this, I'll tell them this. They will admit they were very difficult clients. Very. All the love for them, but very difficult. But they, anyways, he had fired every loan officer until he met Tyler. And he got him to the finish line. So.
Dang. That's always a good compliment, right?
It definitely warms the heart. And then,
he referred his brother to him, and his brother closes next week or week after.
Yeah. And I think that's
one of my biggest deals. So
one of the other things too, I think a lot of new agents, like if we're looking at the true new agents, I think a lot of times, even lenders too, I'm sure you have a few listening for this. A lot of times people miss the opportunity to ask for business, right? Like I know that in my experience, about 90% of realtors that I work with ask for business at the close. There's the average transaction is going to take at least 30 days from initial if you get lucky, right? But we're talking on average a 60 to 90 day process in terms of from the day you meet to the day you're getting to the closing table. But throughout the entire process, you have these moments where you have +1 service, as I like to call it, which is where like you're going above and beyond. Like maybe you're going to a home inspect, or maybe you're going to show a house and they're like, well, I'm kind of nervous about the crawl space. And you're like, hey, no problem. I'm gonna go down there. I'm gonna get in there right now. and you get in the crawl space and you're like, well, I don't see anything like on my side. I'm not a home inspector, but I mean, I don't see anything like in my experience that would jeopardize this, right? Push come to shove, we go under contract, do the inspection, and then, we let it go. But at that moment, when you go into the crawl space, they're like, oh my gosh, why are you going in the crawl space? You're in all these nice clothes and this and that, and there's cobwebs. And then you get out and they're like, you're awesome. And then they're like, I want to write this review, or not review. I want to write the offer. And it's at that moment where it's like, hey, awesome, and that's your opportunity to turn around and ask for the business on the front end. And instead of it being like, hey, Hallie, you know anybody that wants to buy, sell, or refinance? Sorry, that's a little lender in me. Anybody that wants to buy or sell?
Yeah.
How I word mine is it's like, hey, Hallie, would you say I'm doing a good job for you? And then it's like, yeah, you're doing great. Oh, awesome. Phew. Good thing you aren't, because if not, I have to call Casey right now and get you partnered up with another lender. Oh, don't do that, Tyler. You're awesome. And then I move into like the next one, and it's like, hey, do you mind if I ask you a favor? Right. And then they're like, yes. And then you turn around, and then the favor is, hey, well, next time we connect next week, for me as a lender, I don't talk to them as often as a realtor, right? Next time we connect next week, I knew I could count on you to introduce me to somebody that you really care about that wants to buy, sell, or refinance, right? And then that next conversation comes, and then it's going to run pretty close to like a 60% conversion rate within itself. And so it's huge, especially as you're trying to start your business, is making sure you have this 90 days where they're going to be interacting with people, and they don't do what they don't make their money how we make our money. A majority of your buyers are going to be W-2 based in salary. And so they don't think how we think. And so when their best friend's like, oh, I want to buy a house, they're not like, oh my God, I want to plug Hallie. Right. But if you're like, hey, I knew I could count on you, now they're thinking about it, then they plug you. So I think that's another big one that I would certainly encourage people to do, is ask for the business on the front end as you're going through the transaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and especially just gives them a little bit more time to like, well, I don't know, like you said, like it's fresh on their mind too when you do something, outstanding, like going in a crawl space.
Right. Well, and it's like, and then they go and they're talking with their friends, because birds of a feather flock together. If I'm buying a $500,000 house, there's a really good probability my friend's buying a $500,000 house or owns a $500,000 house, maybe more, maybe less. And so it just gives you this huge moment whenever you get the plug in. And so
look at
there's so much business.
So, I mean, they're brothers and they were competing with each other. So it was great.
I mean, both of theirs were, north of 700 on both of those. I could think of about 45,000 reasons why, as a realtor, I would want to do that,
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost you anything. It just takes a little bit of courage and asking at the right time. So, but yeah,
just that extra experience goes a long ways.
Hey, we had someone ask about that notebook deal you mentioned. I'm kind of interested in that too. Can you talk a little bit more on that tool that you use?
yeah. So Remarkable is basically, think of it like a Kindle. And then like for me, what I have is I have it hooked up with my OneDrive, which is like cloud, kind of like the Apple cloud, if you will. So anytime I'm working on stuff, whenever I'm done, as long as I have like some form of internet connection, it'll auto upload so my assistant can see what's going on, because my handwriting's terrible. Right. But she'll be able to kind of move it through and all that. But you can do things like sales contracts on it. You could do notes. You can upload your own PDFs within itself. And so you can really like move and groove. Like there's never like this like stop. There's never like this pause moment. Or I'll take an application over the phone in a parking lot, because let's be real, all of our industries, realtors and lenders, we probably run about 90% of our business from a car. Thank God for Bluetooth.
Oh my God.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So it allows
True
for me to
story.
basically take the application or the key points that I need on an application. And then whenever I'm there, if I go to a Starbucks and it auto uploads, now my assistant can turn around and start literally putting in their application. So when I get back, it's just reviewing documents and cutting a pre-approval. But it's called Remarkable. And it's a really good platform. It feels like paper, writes like paper, and just really allows for you to consolidate your documents and just keep things nice and tight.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So I kind of have a controversial question.
Play games and then I'll meet you at 7:30.
So recently I had an agent come over. She's 12 years licensed, and we were just talking about, how she's like, well, I refer a lot of deals to this lender and I've never received one referral back. Like, what do you do, Hallie? Do you refer people to like one lender that you really like and work with that refers business to you? Or do you refer people to a lot of different people? And for me, I feel like it's been a few different people for me, just because they all offer different kind of services, and maybe it's something where I need like, where it's all in one and all in one, or Melinda has everything in one place. But what are y'all's thoughts on that? Like, obviously you would like it for every realtor to send all of their business to Tyler, of course.
That'd be really healthy.
Yeah. And I was like, is that like, am I not doing like my fiduciary duty to my client? Or like, you guys get what I'm saying?
Right. So I think the biggest thing when I look at referrals is first and foremost, I think it's dangerous to say, like, it's dangerous to put a number on it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, I know, like, within my business, as I like to say, 1 out of 5 closing generates a referral.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
Which is a relatively low number, and it's designed to be conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But what I do with my business is first and foremost, I have my Gucci CRM, right? But then at the root of my business, it is Excel, or really Google Sheets,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I track all my leads. So I have that. Ashley Irby introduced me to Tate and Tanya, right? Or Tanya and Tate. And then I have that Scott was referred over from Tanya, and Casey works together.
Mm-hmm.
So how it works is basically, like, if I get a past client referral or current client referral, because I track everything and I can see who goes where and who goes what,
Mm-hmm.
I turn around and plug the realtor that initially referred the business, and I try to push it the hardest I can. But I think it's dangerous to be like, oh, it's 1 for 1, or oh, it's this for that. But I think the biggest things when you're looking at like a lender partner, or for someone to work with, is the biggest thing is having someone that actually adds value to your business, right? And I'm not saying like a joint marketing adventure, right?
Mm-hmm.
At my branch, we don't do co-marketing at all, right? It's all just adding value, learning about people's problems, and solving them.
Right.
The guy that wants to pay $2,500 a month to get all of your leads and can only close a little bit of them because he's not very good at his job, he can stay over there.
Yeah.
I'll take all the deals. That's what happened with Tanya and Tate. They were like, hey, we can't do it. And I looked at it and I said, hey, well, it's going to be really rough. We're going to go bank statement to start.
Sorry.
They are Tate is Adam's partner in one of the bars and good friends with him.
Okay. Got it.
And
So that's sorry.
Tanya's actually going to real estate school now in Virginia. She's going to get her license there now.
Nice.
So yeah.
Woohoo. But so just past clients, essentially.
Okay, got
Or not. It's deeper than past clients. I don't want to discredit the relationship,
Yeah.
right? But the idea behind it is you have someone that's adding value. I think that's the biggest thing. If they're able to look at you and say, hey, Hallie, what is your biggest problem that you're running into in the industry right now? Is it lead generation? Is it client follow-up? Is it this? Is it that? If you have someone that is actively involved in getting you square and like helping you solve your problems, that I think is going to be your biggest thing, because at the end of the day, the lenders, your relationship with the client is going to be as important as, or as strong as your referral is with the lender, right?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
if the lender, let's say I'll come out, I'm not the cheapest, right?
Yeah.
I'll never advertise being the cheapest. None of you do 0.5% listing fees.
No.
Right.
Those are
like, we're not the cheapest.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the idea behind it is that whenever you have the partner, as long as they're like getting you where you need to go, are you closing on time? Are they communicating with you? Do you know what the loops are? Are they actively helping you grow and develop your business? And if the answer is no, then they're probably looking at you as an ATM.
Yeah.
And then it's probably time to get a new one. If you're sending all your business to a lender and you're not getting any referrals from it, and I'm not saying like a new, like, hey, I got this brand new lead, it's my best friend from high school, he's ready to buy, or college, whatever. I'm talking, hey, I met Bob from Jimmy, and I helped Jimmy and Susie buy their house, and Bob and Jimmy play golf together, and they were talking about it. By the way, Jimmy, do you know Do you know Hallie? Did Bob talk with you about Hallie? Because Hallie's literally the best agent that I work with. She's amazing, right? Because you need that opportunity to be plugged, and if it's not happening, then either the lender is really bad at what they're doing, or they're sending the business somewhere else at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I just thought that was an interesting question. I was like, well, gosh, that's like a hard one to answer, but I like your answer on that.
yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah, good. I built my whole business around it, so I hope so.
No, I feel like that's a good like mindset around it too. Like people, I think a lot of agents and mortgage lenders get so caught up in thinking about the money that not that they can get. I mean, some people can get greedy, of course, but I think I see it every day where people put money first before the clients, and not even on purpose. I think they just kind of get caught up in that, and it's hurtful for everyone in the relationship. And my biggest motto, and why I ended up starting my own team and not going with another brokerage in San Angelo, was because I felt like, and this is just what I felt. I'm not saying these other brokerages aren't, but I just felt like I had the mindset to put clients first, work hard, do the right thing, don't lie, and the money comes from there. And I didn't see that when I was, looking for other brokerages or teams. So I made my own. And I feel like that's something that's like a piece of advice I always give to new agents.
I feel like that's one of our first conversations was about that, Hallie. I don't know if you remember when we were standing on that boat in the 10X ladies thing.
Yes.
And that was something that really, one of our very first conversations about real estate, we were talking about how, put the people first and everything else just falls in line.
Yeah.
And honesty.
It's one of my pet peeves. I talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, like whenever you look at the money aspect to it too, it all depends, right? Like all these teams are different, all the splits are different,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. But I know like in Richmond, the average sales price is in Richmond, Virginia, the average sales price is approaching north of 400,000. If we're just going off your standard 3% rate of return, that's $12,000,
Yeah.
right? The average agent unsupported can handle 2 transactions without a transaction coordinator by themselves. And if you're doing $24,000 a month, there's really no reason to chase the money, let alone, it comes so fast. And then it's like you get the transaction coordinator. Now you can go from 2 transactions to 3 to 4 transactions. And now it's like, hey, maybe I should get an actual assistant. And that, I mean, I feel like that's a whole nother podcast within itself, going through on like the scalability of business and looking at opportunity costs and other things. But I think that it often gets overlooked. And as soon as you start to chase the money in this industry, once you take away the serving heart, the industry gets a whole lot less fun.
Yeah.
I'll say that because now you're banking on, hey, I have to close this deal. I have to do this. When you have that, that's whenever you take on terrible clients. And when you're first getting started out, a terrible client could scuttle your business. It could push you all the way out of the industry in its entirety.
Yep.
So I think it's one of those where it's really hard when you first get started. I think all of us would be lying if we said, hey, I didn't chase the money when I first came in. We all would lie because in the back of our heads we did. But I think it's important to realize, hey, it's an industry of abundance, and it's an industry that is built on reputation and character. And going back to it, 95% of business is conducted because people like you. Someone will pay your 3%, 4% listing fee because they like you and they know you're going to knock it out of the park, versus if someone's like, hey, well, Cap Center says they'll do it for 0.5%. You never built a rapport with that consumer. Right. That's on you as an agent, or on me as a lender if I have someone that's quoting Rocket or whatever.
Oh, Rocket.
Good old Rocket. Their offers are as good as cash if you remember the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I fell out the lazy boy on that one.
Listing agent.
They're special.
Oh, God. We'll leave it at that one.
Yeah, we'll leave it. They're special.
I think another thing too for like new agents is is it's very important to learn how to dissect businesses,
Mhm.
right? And I'm not saying know the ins and outs and anything and everything about it, but if like for Hallie, for you, if you were going to generate, let's say you needed to generate leads and your sphere wasn't working for you or
Mhm.
whatever, and we all know that internet should be it shouldn't be your form of income, it should be a subsidy to income, meaning like it's a bonus,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Outside of that, if you weren't hitting like your direct sphere, like if you were to look at other businesses, what kind of businesses would you what kind of fires off on your head, like, hey, this thing would be a lead generation explosion?
Wait, can you ask me that again?
If
I
you
don't
were trying to
know.
generate business, let's say
Mhm.
you transplanted, right? You're now in Richmond. You have
Yeah.
a very successful business in Texas, but now
Yeah.
you're in Richmond. You're starting from nothing. You know no one but me. How would you go about generating your business outside of the internet?
So I'm a big person, and this is kind of, I think you're getting at this. This actually kind of was me when I first got started because I'm not from San Angelo and I didn't know a lot of people moving here. And my husband's from here, but he's like, oh, I don't want to talk to anybody. What I did is I went out and went to networking events. I joined
Hmm.
Junior League and did a lot of volunteering. Um, joined like went to nonprofit events and met people there, nonprofits specifically that I like, more so that ones that I was passionate about. And I'm like, I feel like that was good for me because when I'm one of those people, well, I think it's for everybody, but when you go to something you're passionate about, that really shines through and it just shows more of your personality and just amplifies that know, like, and trust even more. Joined the
Right.
chamber, got like, and then I real quickly realized the chamber is very big. And like when you go to events, there's a million people there. And I still go to chamber events, but I kind of, looked for committees within the chamber. So like I got involved in Young Professionals of San Angelo. Now I'm on the board and like I have a ton of, it was just a smaller group of the chamber so I could interact with people more. They know my face more. And I feel like that with the internet kind of got my face out there.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, no, that's huge. I love that a lot. And those are all huge, especially like the networking events and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Mhm.
I think that a lot of times people look at things like BNI. As I always like to say, it's good to touch base in it. When I look at like BNI or like the business, like the true business networking things, my my view on them is typically it's only as strong as the realtor,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, when I go to those, what I do is I meet with everybody. I get invited to them. I never do BNI, like I don't like opt in,
Yeah.
but what happens is let's say there's 10 professionals there, right? There's a financial advisor, a closing attorney, a realtor, a homeowner's insurance person, someone that does home renovations, right? I'm going and getting all of their contact information. And the difference is people are like, oh, I'd love to talk business with you. This sounds like a great idea. The difference is the next day or even when I'm leaving, I'm turning around and sending like, hey, it's great to meet you texts.
Yes.
And then the next day I'm calling them and I'm like, hey, Hallie, it's super awesome learning about you and your business. I'd love to sit down and learn more about you and how you got where you got and learn deeper about
Deeper
like
personal
how you run your
development.
business, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because like at the end of the day, what I was getting at with the dissecting of businesses is I could go to any city and within 2-3 months be closing 6+ loans a month because of just where I go, right? First
Yeah.
and foremost, of course, realtors, that one's easy. Everybody knows that,
Yes.
right? But divorces,
Yep.
what happens when someone gets divorced? There's 3 transactions that could happen. A
Mhm.
sell, buy, that's the best one. But normally people split up. So if it's not a sell, buy,
Mhm.
it's a refinance buy,
Yeah.
right? So you go
Mhm.
in and you get plugged in with these divorce attorneys. And I won't go too deep into it right now, but I know like for me, I basically built a divorce extension team. And then I'm
Yes.
taking
Yeah.
my top realtor partners and plugging them in and now moving this towards divorce attorneys and saying, hey, look, I have this team for you. It doesn't cost you $1. By the way, I'm projecting that this is going to cut about 20% off your time to divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can,
Mhm.
just like you or I, if I can close more loans, if I can close a loan in 15 days, which I can, if I can close a
Got a
loan in
little
15
plan there.
days,
Yeah.
if I can
There you
close a
go.
loan if I can close a loan in 15 days, that means I can handle more loans because my pipeline is ending out further. So you learn about the
Yeah.
divorce, you learn about where the bottlenecks are. Now you have this bottleneck, but it could also be things like apartment complexes, right? You go treat the apartment complex people. Of course, they want people to renew their lease, but let's be real, ain't nobody renewing their lease right now.
Yeah.
I go take them out to lunch, say, hey, look, blah, 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 blah. I'd love to do a seminar. I just want permission to send it in. Can I do it in the clubhouse? And I'll
Yeah.
pay for it and, do the food. That's a huge event. And it didn't take it. I don't have to know anybody. I just have to go in and make my initial thing and just learning how each business runs and learning where their choke points come in.
Yeah.
Because at that point, like for divorce, right? If there's two people that are separated and the divorce attorney doesn't have a realtor, right? They just have, they might have one for themselves, but they're not like, hey, I'm going to plug Casey. Every time somebody's getting divorced, oh, you need to talk to Casey.
Yeah.
By doing that, now we're reducing the choke point, because the choke point is, well, my ex-husband said he's handling the realtor, and the realtor hasn't even, listed the house yet, hasn't even run comps. But if the attorney says, hey, this is my child, or not my child, but my poster now, or a key component to my team, right? They're a crucial role. Now you're introduced, there's comps, they're already rocking and rolling, and we're not waiting the 2 months for the other agent to finally get their stuff together, for the ex-husband to get their stuff together.
Yeah.
So I think that's another big thing too, is just learning how to look at businesses and really just solve people's problems, kind of going back to the I know a guy kind of thing. Like I know, like on mine, if my phone rings, I have at least four divorce attorneys, or 4 law firms with over 12 divorce attorneys that I have, where if my phone rings, I can literally turn around and just, oh, you need a divorce? I know just the guy. And then I just pick whichever client I like more.
Yeah.
And then funnel them that way. And I don't make any money, even if they don't do it, but I'm still solving their problem. And they're still going to call me whenever they have the problem.
Yes. I'm a big believer in
So
that.
it's huge. But I'd say learning how to dissect businesses and how, like, the actual business, what their byproducts are as you look at things, I think is another big thing whenever you're looking at like lead generation and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So will you tell us about how you made your connections with divorce attorneys?
So how I did mine was I worked through my I know a guy network, and it was really like a lot of past clients and a lot of my other business partners. I met my biggest
Is that like a BNI group?
not even. So
Okay.
so what I've done with my business is I turn around and I find, first and foremost, I only send one referral, and I only send one referral ever, if that makes sense. Meaning, if I plug you as a realtor, let's say I have someone that's having a bad time with their current realtor and they're firing them, and I'm plugging you, I'm only plugging you. I'm not saying, hey, here's Hallie. Hallie's awesome. Hey, here's Casey. Casey's awesome. Take your pick. Because why don't they just go on the internet and Google a real estate agent at that point, or a lender?
Okay.
Right. So I always only do one. And then the other thing is I find the person, first and foremost, do I like you? Do I vibe with you? Like, are we on the same frequency kind of thing?
Yeah.
And then, are you a master at your craft? And if you check those 2 boxes, you're now the guy, if that makes sense, or the girl. You're that person. So, like, for me, I have my homeowners insurance. Of course, I have like my fallback, like my primary, my poster child for homeowners insurance. He doesn't do flood insurance, right? If it's within, I think it's like 250 feet or 500 feet from water, they don't touch it. So I have like a fallback guy, but I'm not going to send it to Ryan and then be like, hey, actually, I need to send you to Will with this other insurance company because I didn't do my homework before, right? It makes everything more professional. But it's all about just, I say, finding like the right person and then just slowly plugging in. And it takes time to build the network, right? But for me, I have homeowners insurance, financial advisor, commercial banker, out of state financing, home equity line of credit, right? Like, I do all this stuff, and then what happens is that's the guy. It's like, oh, you've owned your house, you bought your house 3 years ago. I would never ask you to refinance. And Hallie, I can't believe you would ask me if you'd want to refinance at a 2.25 of a percent. It's just
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. But what does
Like,
make
what?
sense is let's open up. And now Texas is a little different because
Yeah.
all the states have different lending laws. But like if you were in Virginia, it'd be like, hey, I know a guy that'll go up to 100% combined loan to value with the home equity line of credit.
Mhm.
And he'll do a great job for you. He closes a little slow, he'll run 60 to 90-day close time, but now you have this huge access to credit at 250,000 and you're able to knock out all the stuff you wanted to knock out too, and you get to keep that low rate. I don't make any money off of it, but then they tell their friends, oh my God, Tyler's awesome.
Yes, exactly.
And so I think you do that as you're going and starting to formulate your own relationships and creating your own within itself. It's really like a BNI, right? And when I do my referrals, I do what's called a trust triangle.
Mm-hmm.
So how that works is you have the referral, the referee, and the referrer, right? Or for example, I'm the lender, Hallie's the buyer, and Casey's the realtor. It'd be, hey, Hallie, per our conversation, or hey, Hallie, was great talking with you today. Per our conversation, I'm putting you in touch with an absolute hammer of a realtor. Casey and I have partnered together on many deals, and she knows the ins and outs of Raleigh like nobody's business.
Yeah.
I'd be terrified if I had my house listed in Raleigh and I saw Casey's offer coming in, because once you meet her, you'll think she's this real sweet, petite, blonde lady. But as soon as that home inspection comes back, boy, I tell you, the gloves come off. You see smoke flying up behind the car, and boom, next thing you know, you got $10,000 in seller concessions. And then, hey, Casey, this is Hallie. Hallie's absolute. Hallie, I met Hallie. Blah blah blah. Hallie's looking to purchase a house here. Blah blah blah. I know you'll do a great job for Hallie, as you have done many times in the past. And I put it in a text message.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I put it in a text message is because now Hallie can't run away. I can't be like, hey, Hallie, here's Casey, call Casey. Now Casey understands, hey, I only get paid whenever I'm closing deals or when I'm selling houses, and Hallie needs to buy sooner rather than later because, and so it's able to get the ball moving a little further.
Yes.
But trust triangle is huge. Huge in my business. I do it for everything: financial advisor, homeowners insurance, you name it, it happens.
Yeah. Well, and I like that. I like your point about putting everybody in a group text so they can't, run away. And then that Casey's going to be following up because you already know her and trust her.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. And so like within the trust triangle too, there's a lot of edifying that goes into it too. Like as I run my business, the whole time I run mine, we could have never worked a deal together. But as far as I'm concerned, Hallie is the best realtor in San Angelo. Ain't nobody can do it better. You better go buy the lottery ticket because you just won. And that's how I look at it. And that's how I run my business, because I don't want them to go to open house and not tell you, and then your deal gets sniped because there was somebody there that was just a little bit more snazzy, if you will.
Yes.
So
yeah.
It's huge on the edifying. I think it allows people to put their guard down and really give you the opportunity, not in a bad way. I don't mean guard down in a bad way, but you walk into the dealership to go buy a car, you're first like this, you got your fists up, you're like, ain't nobody getting nothing on me. But then you start building rapport. If your best friend said, hey, go see Casey, she's the best car dealer ever, when you go in, you're like this now. And then Casey's really nice to you, and now you're like this, and it's not so you can sock them on the jaw. But it's because we have this natural tendency to put walls up on things that we don't know about. And like, I think we all know that for the most part, we're all doing more houses than people buy in a lifetime in a month. So it's like, we're kind of experienced in it. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, it's also, you start talking really fast because we do this for a living, and so then the guards back up. So I think it's just one of those where it gives you this huge opportunity to build rapport, and then also not only increase your referral partners conversion, but most importantly, increase your conversion as well. Mm-hmm. Because as long as they're pulling through on all the nice things you're saying about them, you are officially the guy that knows a guy, or the girl that knows a girl.
I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
So yeah, that's one of my biggest things. That's right.
Tyler, have you read the book, The Go-Giver by Bob Berg?
I have not read The Go-Giver, but I do like it.
Like it. And I think everybody listening on this show, if you like what we're talking about right now, that's a good book for you to read.
Yeah, that's a big one. And then if you want,
you should put that in the thing, Hallie.
Okay. Yeah.
one other book that I recommend for everybody that's getting started out, whether it's mortgage, real estate, it doesn't matter. There's a book, it's called Raving Fans.
Yes,
Now,
that was one of the
Oh,
first
yeah.
books I read, and I
You
still
might-
live by the 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah,
I still haven't read that one.
girl, you've got to. It was the first one I ever read when I got into real
Ken
estate.
Blanchard. I'm just
I
putting-
don't know the artist off the top, or not the artist, the
I've
author
got
off
it
the
right
top
here.
of my head.
I just Googled it. It's Ken Blanchard.
Do the audio book though,
No,
because
I
it
think
goes
somebody-
all over the place.
Oh yeah, always, because we're always in our car.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
in that book too, it goes from first person to third person to narrator to this, and you can get lost in it. And I think it's like a 2-hour book, if that, hour and a half to listen to.
It's
But
so
it'll
good, though.
I want to do
Give
that.
you huge ideas and things that you can do, to run your business and run it effectively, and really create the raving fan at the end of the day. That's what we all really want. Someone to just be like, Tyler's awesome, Casey's awesome, Hallie's awesome. If you're buying or selling a house
If
and
they
you're not
don't
talking to
know
them,
you, they can't blow you.
exactly.
Yes.
So, but
Here's
I'd say
another, suggestion from Randy: "Lead with Love" by Colleen Barrett, Southwest Airlines, and she's like, Ken used to be her client years ago. That's pretty neat.
that's
Love that.
awesome.
That is awesome. So,
How cool.
yes.
That's
awesome.
super gangster.
I
Um,
know. I'm like, dang. I thought I was cool because I had tagged Bob Berg in something a while ago, and I guess he'd just seen it on Twitter, and I got a follow from him on Twitter, and I was like, thank you for following me. Like, oh my, this
Life
is a
made.
book. Yeah. He's like, well, I saw who your mentor was, and she's one of my good friends, so I figured you would be a good one. I'm like, all right, power of association, definitely.
Amen to that. Leverage the network.
She was his
Oh.
travel agent.
So cool. I love
That's
that.
huge. And I think probably the biggest thing, and I probably should have started off with this,
Mhm.
is, for bread and butter for new agents, new lenders, it doesn't matter. The wheel's been around, and if any of you are like super big onto history, please don't beat me up on it. I think it's like 3600 BC,
Okay.
right? The design of the wheel has never changed. It
Yeah.
hasn't. They might have changed the material. Maybe it has air and rubber and an alloy rim and this and that, but a wheel's a wheel's a wheel. And the same thing ties to the industry. Like, it doesn't matter if it's real estate, it doesn't matter if it's mortgage. There are systems and processes out there. You don't have to go out and create this huge, you don't have to go make the business model. You literally make sure that you're finding the right team that you're meeting with, or the right mentor, and have someone that's teaching you the ins and outs and like what to do, because you don't need to recreate it. You meet an agent, they'll say, hey, this is what I did to grow my business. This is how I did this. This is how I did that. I grew my business a little different. Sure, there are different variations of the wheel, but find someone that's successful in the industry you're going into, or in this case, in real estate. And you have two amazing resources right here, Casey and Hallie. And you just tap that. And if they're anything like me, I'll regurgitate everything I do on my business. On Mondays, I do realtor update calls. On Tuesdays, I'll call clients under contract. On Wednesdays, I call approved and lookings. And there's nothing new. I just run an hour and a half time block on each of those, and then I fill up all my other stuff. But I didn't build that, if that makes sense. Like, that was given to me when I came into the industry, and they said, you could run your business like this, or you can go work at Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's something huge too, is don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just get in it and start rolling, and welcome to the grind.
Yeah.
So.
Welcome to the grind. Yep.
That's actually a great ending, because we're coming up on the end. So that's actually a great way to end it rather than begin it.
Yeah, I
How
think so
about it?
too. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have any other questions. Do you, Casey, or any other
Mm-mm.
stuff you want to plug?
No.
Okay. Any last hacks, tips, or tricks, Tyler, or comments?
I would say if anyone listening wants to ever just rap and kind of pick my brain, I'm an open book. I don't charge any money, but all I ask is if you know anybody that wants to get into debt, buy a house.
Yeah.
I'd love the opportunity, and I have a very big network that I tap into, and it's one of those where I can help anyone really nationwide. It doesn't matter. At least get them connected with someone that's an absolute hammer.
Yeah.
So That's really my stuff. And on the link that's put up, all my contact information, email, cell phone number, all that stuff's there. And then you can always pick my brain. I love to share it. So
Love it. Well, shoot, Tyler, I think you're an absolute hammer.
ooh, I try.
Yes.
I
Yes.
try to be. You know,
Hey,
my
you've
wife
knocked
hates
every
it.
deal I've sent you out of the park. So
my wife hates it. One of my favorite sayings comes from Marshawn Lynch, and it's just, I'm just here so I don't get fined. And not really getting fined, but I love the work and love to do it. And so it's like, it's never a job for me. It's like, I'm just having fun. And that's my way of saying, hey, it's no big deal. I'm here. So,
Love it.
but I love it. And this has been a blast to be here, and hopefully
Randy
we can,
said she's going to be calling you. So
let's do it. That sounds
Yeah.
good to me.
you will not be sorry. I promise. So,
Good. Very cool.
I know, us too, Tyler. With you getting your Texas license, we'll need to chat.
Yeah, I'm excited. It should be about 60 days or so. I just got to do my little, I think it's a 3-hour course, and then they got to process it. So thank God for Roombas and mouses.
Love it.
So
Oh.
awesome.
Well, thank you for
Well,
coming on, Tyler. We really appreciate
Thank you
your
so
time.
much.
And I know
This is
everybody
awesome.
Thank you
that
both.
watches this does too. So
I couldn't think of anybody, but I was like, we've got to get him on here. So.
yes.
Cool. Well, if you guys ever need me to come in again, I'd love the opportunity. It's always a joy, especially
Hey,
to be able
actually,
to.
I do
Yeah.
after you get your divorce stuff rolling, because he's working on something also as far as divorcees go.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to give your plug, Tyler. So when you get
Sweet.
that up and going,
Yeah.
let's.
No, we'll be able to wrap
Yeah.
on it. It's probably, I'll kind of just give the gist on it. It's okay. So the idea behind it is I've built a divorce extension team.
Mhm.
So I have my financial advisor that I use, and then I have me, and then I take my top realtor partners that I have that I think would do well in said environment, and
Yes.
then present it to an individual attorney and say, hey, this is the value, that this is what this is why we have it. I didn't answer your question directly earlier on how I'm meeting a lot of my attorneys. It's word of mouth referral. I'm
Okay.
not calling the law firm. All right.
Okay.
I don't want to talk to the secretary who's going to tell me to leave a voicemail,
Yeah.
because I don't sell over the phone, right? I want to sell face to face. I want to build the value. But what I'm doing is I'm asking past clients, my active business partners, all that stuff, and I'm getting the cell phone number to the attorney. That way they can't run from me,
Yes.
So then I'm calling them and I say, hey, look, this is how I met you, blah, or this is how I got your name and number. This is why I'm calling. Let's set up a time to talk, because I'll be able to help your business, and then just turn around, make my nice presentation. It's essentially the presentation they're giving to their clients after they go through their initial consultation. And then
Yep.
we're getting plugged pretty much right off the rip as soon as they get in. That way we're not coming in after the divorce agreement or the divorce decree. We're not coming in after it's finalized. We're able to get in there before any of that stuff comes, because divorce within itself is A, it's painful, and then B, a $500,000 lump sum sounds great if you're paying cash for a house,
Yeah.
right? But if you haven't worked in the last 15 years, it might be better to have that money in alimony or child support or separate maintenance,
Yep.
right? So it allows for us to come in and save it. That way there's no surprises, because I hate surprises even on my birthday.
Yes. Same.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's kind of
That's
the
awesome.
gist with the divorce attorneys. That's been my big moment that I've been working on.
Yeah. Love it.
So
Yes.
Yes,
I'm excited.
ma'am.
And we'll chat this week about that. So
Woohoo! That sounds
Yes.
good to me. Well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
having me in here. This was awesome. I
Yes,
thoroughly
you.
enjoyed it.
yes, it was a
Awesome.
lot of
Good.
fun. Thank you.
Awesome. We'll see everybody next Monday. And if you need Tyler, his contact is at the bottom of the screen. And everyone have a good evening, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great week. See you next week. And Tyler, I'll be in touch with you this week.
Yes, ma'am. Sounds good. You ladies have a good night. Thanks.
You
You
too.
too.
Bye.
Bye.